Hello and welcome to CHUB Cast episode. Oh,
Oh no!
what the fuck?
What happened? No! The curse has passed on from me to Ben. The universe does not want us to have this podcast.
No. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, because all I heard was just, "Hello, welcome to dinner."
Hello and welcome to CHUB Cast episode 4. I'm Zach and joined with me is this lovely fellow.
Bang.
I don't know if it's all scrambled up.
I can't see who
Down
you're
here.
pointing to.
Down here, this is
Kyle,
working.
Kyle.
And over here,
Yeah, it's Greg.
yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
It is for me, so it works.
Sick.
This podcast, we choose 2 albums, usually a week, but things happened. Last time we chose Black Dahlia Murder, Verminous, right?
Verminous, yeah.
That's the album name, and Royal Republic, Club Majesty, which one is a death metal album and the other is disco. So they're quite symbiotic in a way.
Hell yeah.
Do you want to
two
talk
sides
about?
of the same coin, man?
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about Black Dahlia Murder first?
Go for it, why not?
Sick.
So,
Introduce that
Go
bad
for
boy.
it, Kyle. Oops.
So yeah, I've listened to Black Dahlia Murder since like 2011 with their album. It's probably their most famous album, Nocturnal. It's got the song "What a Horrible Night to Have a Curse" on, and that song was the hardest drum song in Rock Band, which is how I found out about them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is that a
didn't really
reference to Castlevania?
Yeah, the guy. So the lead singer Trevor Strnad is like a huge horror and video game nerd, and you
Yeah.
can probably tell he's a big horror nerd from the lyrics in the albums.
The album
But
artwork,
yeah,
Yeah.
he and yeah. So I've been listening to them since then. I didn't really like death metal before them, but I feel like Black Dahlia Murder are melodic enough that a lot of people who aren't into death metal can enjoy them. Their riffs and solos are like, I reckon their solos you could just chuck them straight into like a standard, like a power metal song or something, because they're quite tasteful instead of just most death metal, which is just
Yeah,
like
I could agree
playing
with that. I
fast.
like to I wrote down a lot of the times that sick solo, good solo. Enjoyed that solo. Solo. So low. Continue.
No. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like proggy technical prowess, and I feel like while they're not particularly proggy, they are very technically proficient. They've been through a bunch of lineup changes, but their drummer at the time of Nocturnal, Shannon Lucas, is like one of my favorite drummers of all time. So, but they've got a new drummer now, and he's just as sick. So,
Hey,
yeah, definitely recommend giving them a listen.
drummers
They
are
were
disposable, so
Yeah, who gives a shit about them?
Do not be replaced with robots anyway.
Just Kyle, you're out of the.
I am the drum machine. That's all I'll ever be. I reckon they're very good gateway bands to death metal because, like, whilst I feel like his vocals are very screamy, but I feel like as far as death metal goes, they're probably the most intelligible death metal vocals out there. Like,
yeah.
they're kind of, you can understand them if you just listen out for them. So yeah, I really like this band.
I could agree to that. I listen to most of these bands through Apple TV, and Apple TV has lyrics up. So I was just basically following the song along with the lyrics. And yeah, once you know what he's saying, he's obviously saying that. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. Which is obvious when you think about it, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, they never stray into like dying fetus territory where it's actually just and you have to just trust that he's saying words.
Yeah. It's like, I think the
But,
best example of that is the song by Napalm Death, "You Suffer, But Why." The song's like 2 seconds long, and all it is, and that's it. But apparently the lyrics to that are, "You suffer, but why?" I'm like, there is no way he's saying that. And it's
Have you ever taken that song and slowed it down?
No,
If
but
you slow it down, it'll sound like Dio, and he's just like, "You saw the good one." It sounds like really nice.
he's actually just fast forwarded that like 10
Yeah,
times.
and bass boosted, and muddied it up.
Uh, it enters
Well, that's the
performance
song idea,
art
boys.
territory at some point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something we have to do.
Ben, Greg, what did you guys think of it? Who first?
Uh,
Fight to the death.
Oh. No, me.
You first, Archers.
Oh, why, thank you. I thought it was super cool. I thought I kind of had a slightly opposite experience to Kyle's because I have previously been much more into the like more melodic, more clean singing kind of death metal, and I've avoided screamy vocals for a long time. But because I've listened to like bands like In Flames and Dark Tranquillity and stuff, I'd say they're probably a bit more intelligible even than these guys. But the listening to this album, and I did listen to a few tracks off their other albums as well, it's really like gave me more of an appreciation for the less clean singing stuff. Like you say, they did have really melodic guitar work, and like I was surprised at the amount of cool riffs that they managed to fit in at the speed that they were playing. Like it was high energy throughout, but there were so many riffs that you could pick out where you're like, oh my god, that's so technical and like yeah, I don't know a better word than melodic. But yeah, I thought it was real good.
Yeah, no, I could agree with everything you said there. I thought those riffs were sick. I'm not like a huge, and correct me if I'm wrong because this is not my table, but which I say too much recently. Blast beats aren't really my thing. Were there even blast beats in there? Am I even using the correct term?
There were some, yeah. I don't like blast beats either. Yeah. I feel like blast beats, like as a drummer, I feel like they're pretty lazy. I feel like 90% of the time you could be doing something more interesting, but they do. I feel like they use them quite tastefully. Like the times that they do use them are like, here's like a random transition riff that goes for like a bar that just the way they go mental like, and then they move on to something else.
They used it a lot for transitions.
Yeah.
It's a bit like really intense guitar shred, isn't it? It's like if you use it too much, it's just wank. But sparingly, it really improves, like varies the tempo.
Yeah. It's like anything that you just need like a change in pace to keep things interesting. Which is why. What was that guitar song that they randomly had at the end?
acoustic guitar song.
Yeah,
the interlude. I can't remember what it's called. The one before Dawn of Rats.
I did not write my notes very well.
It's called like Emerging
Dark Chrysalis.
Room of Dark Chrysalis.
That's it. That's a great name. I thought that could have been better in the middle of the album because I was just like 9 songs in, even though the album's only half an hour long. I was like, all right, let's get something different going. And then this little acoustic track came in. I was like, hello. And then I really enjoyed the Rat song.
Fuck,
Rats, these notes are shit. Look, I don't know why. Enjoyed deciphering that. But yeah,
it was Dawn of Rats.
Yeah, Dawn of Rats.
Yeah.
That conjures up a great like mental image of just like rats coming over the horizon.
I was gonna say, just like a tidal wave of big rats.
That's what the song is about. Did you read the lyrics for it?
Is it actually? I really didn't read any lyrics for this album, I have to say. I should do.
Dude, like the lyrics are pretty fucking standard metal horror stuff, but the Dawn of Rats one, like, one of the things about the Black Dahlia murder is all of their lyrics are very much like, here's a horrible person and he gets away with everything he does because this is horror, lol. And then Dawn of Rats is like a song about a woman who's raped, but then she learns like black magic to control all the rats in the city, and then she just absolutely murders this dude by tearing him apart with a horde of rats. So yeah,
satisfying.
So the album has a happy ending.
Yeah, a nice happy ending about a rapist being eaten alive by rats. Yeah.
I mean, that's not an unhappy ending.
Not really. I mean, it's some vengeance.
That's a pretty sick line. Dawn has come with your defeat. We the rats must have our feast.
We the
rats. Is that something to do with the album being
Yum
called
yum.
Verminous as well.
Vermin, yeah,
Yeah. So
maybe.
the title track Verminous. I mean, the
Verminous,
chorus is like
verminous.
it's like
Sorry.
the wretched roaches, things that crawl, bringers of our plague to all. It's just like basically talking about like because like it's got all that dripping in the background, and the album art's like a sewer system and stuff. So it's basically
Yeah.
about like the underworld and all of these gross, horrible things going on like beneath our feet and stuff.
The album art
Yeah.
reminded me of Fell, like anything in WoW. Shadow Moon Valley, Fellwood, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oh
a lot of
fuck,
green.
where are the undead from? Undercity,
Yeah,
literally.
definitely like green flowing.
Oh yeah, I get that vibe. Yeah, yeah.
Which now you say that he's a nerd and he likes his video games, could be a not a reference, but inspiration, inspired
Yeah, that
by.
is true.
Mm.
There's
Yeah.
I think he's a big Warhammer nerd as well, and in Warhammer there's a race of rat people called the Skaven who live in sort of places like that as well.
Okay.
Skaven.
Yeah.
Nice.
Steven.
Ben, what did you think of it?
So I kind of looked a little bit up before going into it, and like saw that they were obviously death metal. And then when I was actually listening to it, I couldn't help but feel that like the whole way it was just giving me such like Jester Race vibes from like In Flames, like their second album, where it's just like it's got really nice sort of melodic-y kind of like guitars and stuff, like really intricate drums, and obviously the vocals are like.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was just really really good. Like again, that's my favorite Flames album.
Mm.
And listening to it the whole way was just it was a magical experience. I was like, yes, please scream at me more. Say the things that like the highlights for me, probably like thematically was just really really cool. Like all like everything to do with just like rats and sewers and disgusting stuff. I'm just like, oh yeah, gross.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
it kind of like it almost fits with. I mean, you get away with like doing this kind of music, like R&B or something like that.
What if you
Like
just sang about gore and stuff, but like
yeah, like it fits. It just fits. Like the theme fits the music so well.
Yeah.
Because it's just so visceral. And yeah, like
Yeah.
the
Definitely
thing,
couldn't imagine
don't know
this
why.
theme being a disco album.
You know, I'd listen to that though.
Rats
Imagine
on the
if
dance
both
floor.
the albums. Yeah, imagine if both the albums we're reviewing today they just swapped their themes
Oh, that'd be so
and
funny.
they just sung about each other's albums.
Oh,
Imagine Can't Fight the Disco, but with like these instruments.
Power.
Succubus on the dance floor.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's funny that you say that you heard a lot of In Flames in them because they've gone on record to say their biggest influences are the Swedish metalcore, like the Swedish melodic death metal bands like In Flames, Soilwork, Dark Tranquility, and that's exactly who you guys mentioned. Those are their
Yeah,
biggest.
makes a lot of sense.
Well,
That's the
they
who we can
succeeded.
hear the most as well. Yeah, if they set out to kind of to that goal got there for sure. Because like I was listening to the whole way, and I was just like, oh, this is so good. Like it was kind of like when I listen to sort of a lot of death metal music, I can never really view like a specific time when like I enjoy like lyrics or anything specifically. It's kind of you listen to it and it's just the whole thing is just an experience.
Yeah.
But one thing I did pick out from the album which I really liked. I don't know why. It just really got to me. It was just like, you know, in the drum solos they just have like the high tings. I don't know what they're called. Like maybe that's like tinging on the ride, but like sometimes they're like ting 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 ting, and I'm just like,
Oh, but that is some high ting.
The drummer's a very symbol oriented drummer. Yeah, there's a lot of symbol work in this album. Yeah.
and that's the thing I picked up on a lot, which complemented the melody really really well. Obviously, in the blast beats that Zach mentioned before.
Yeah. Which weren't a bad
yeah.
thing, by the way. I just not my
Not
thing.
for you.
So.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either.
if you guys have you guys gone on to the spot? I don't know if it's the same on Spotify, but on Apple Music, probably it's the same. If you go into like the info or description of the album, they have written a massive paragraph about the album, and they go into detail about every song, all the themes and stuff.
Really?
I gave that a little read, but
No, I
my
didn't
brain
read that.
doesn't like words, so I forgot most of it. But it was all pretty interesting while I was listening to it. Yeah, I didn't
let me
realise
see.
most bands don't usually do that kind of thing, which I appreciated. Or,
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's good to actually
they
have
put
some
it
of
in
their
their
like
bio on
speculation
Spotify.
confirmed.
yeah. Oh dear. But no,
Alright.
I really enjoyed this album. It wasn't really my thing, but I can just imagine they were meant to play Bloodstock next year, and I was just sitting there like, I bet this be sick live.
Yeah,
So-
I've wanted. To
Yeah,
see
I
them
really,
live
I
for
really want to
ages.
see these guys live now. Did they do
Yeah.
any
They played-
festivals?
Yeah,
Well,
they played
Bloodstock.
Camden Underworld last year, and I really wanted to go. I could have got tickets, but nobody else wanted to go, so I didn't. end up
Should have
going.
recommended them on CHUB Cast last year then.
Yeah, last year's CHUB Cast.
Where's your time machine, guy?
Like, guys, we need to start a podcast. Why? What? We're gonna have a band called Chub. Trust me, it's gonna be sick.
Hell yeah.
Also, come to this gig. It's related.
If you do not come in, then Chub will never happen. I've only been a fan of like growly, screamy vocals for about 2 years now. Really, a Monomath changed my opinion on it all so badly, and then folk metal in general, like Enspherum and Equilibrium, just further like influenced my music taste, and now I've dived back into like non-folky Norse mythology bands, and I'm like, oh, sick. That they are sick. See Teenage Zach. See Teenage Zach. You don't only have to listen to clean vocals.
Yeah, I feel like
now,
everybody.
now
needs
40-year-old
to
Zach is going to come back in time and be like, see, Zach, you do like rap.
I don't see that happening.
I can't wait. It will happen. I'm going to keep recommending rap albums.
What, when
God.
just a vision of Zach in the future wearing a wife beater and a fucking high tops or something.
God.
Yeah, in the kitchen
Image
with
of, like,
Alex and James.
40-year-olds. It's just a
I mean,
wife beater.
That's not far off me now. I have like vests and I wear high tops all the time.
Yeah, maybe we need to get you like a fucking snapback or something.
I've got my Pokemon.
I'm going to get you a Tech 9 album every Christmas.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
How
But I haven't
far-
listened to 1 through 8.
Shut up. Kill you. No.
Anyway, back to the album.
Oh, yes.
Tangents.
I've got a note. I was really impressed with, because going back to screamy vocals, now that we can all appreciate him, through our different journeys through life, I really was impressed on this one, how he goes from like high pitched to low pitched screams almost interchangeably, to the point where what I wrote down was what 2 songs was it? In Removal of the Oaken Stake and How Very Dead, it almost sounded like 2 different singers having like a conversation with each other.
Yeah, he's the most dynamic screaming vocalist I know. Like, especially on this album, I felt like he really stepped it up, because it's like for what I put in my notes, the same thing, because he's always done his like and then he goes down to like really low quickly.
Yeah.
But like, especially in songs like Child of Night, there's that line where it's like incubus, succubus, does that, but he's got like this kind of weird southern drawl on it. He's like kind of like weird southern rock, like, and he's just like it's like he's just doing this like weird sassy bit at the end. But I thought it was really cool, yeah. And then Leather Apron Scorn, he sings that in a completely different way to all of us.
These
It's
names.
a really dumb name. Oh, yeah,
Leather Apron Scorn. I know exactly what he's on about, though. It's like, I can just
He's talking about
picture
Jack
that
the
guy.
Ripper.
Yeah. Making
I
lamps
thought
out of
maybe it
human
was Texas
skin.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
He mentioned specifically old Jack and stuff, and it's terrorizing foggy London streets and stuff.
Jack.
But yeah, oh yeah.
What's he
But
like?
I feel like Jack the Ripper's such a cool, like, evil character. You could have gone with a way better name than the Leather Apron Scorn. Like, it's just an angry, evil apron or something.
He just flies off you like,
I'm an apron made of leather.
Maybe it's like the wrong trousers from Wallace and Gromit, and like you put on the apron and it makes you murder people.
It's being controlled by a penguin as well.
Yeah.
oh, the penguin
Remote
fucking
control
nightmares.
God damn it.
No, I feel like this album their other albums kind of they're all very much about like horror concepts, but this one went really ham on the like this is just about different kinds of movie horror. So it's like Verminous is about rats and gross and cruelly things. Removal of the Oaken Stakes about vampires. Child of Night's about incubuses and succubuses. Sunless Empire, it's just about I can't even remember. It's just about demons and stuff. And then Leather Apron Scorn's about a mass murderer. How Very Dead's about an evil mad doctor. And then The Werewolves Feast is about a guy who turns into a bunch of worms and goes and eats corpses in his sleep and wakes up with like dirt and gore all over his mouth. Like, okay.
I love that. I love that. I don't really like horror that much, but I do at the same time. Like, I never watch it, but when I'm just thinking about it, I'm like, that vision would be horribly sick, and I love it. Sick in good ways.
Yeah, it takes a lot of creativity.
Horrible.
It does, yeah. Good horror takes so much creativity to... there's a fine line between cheesy and shit and actually scary. I guess there's quite a few lines, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it takes like writers' balls to write it properly and like commit to the disgusting imagery and not pull back from it. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that. That's too scary for me.
Worms, ew.
Yeah, worms. It's like this whole album, like it's really hard to floor. I was thinking of, I put a pro and con list at the end of all of my notes, and I really couldn't think of many cons. I think that they just nailed it. Are all their other albums like this, like quality?
They are very well known for being an extremely consistent band, but I wasn't that big a fan of Nightbringers or Abysmal, which were their last two albums, because they kind of went further towards just straight up death metal than the melodic part, but then they kind of really brought it back in a good way. Like this album is one of my favorites of theirs now. My favorite prior to this was Ritual, which was like 4 albums ago. But like they've got like 4 albums. Like this is their 9th album, I think. But 4 of their albums are basically perfect albums in my opinion. There's not a bad song on them.
How long have you been on for? Since 2003. God damn.
Yeah, they've been about for a minute.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to say?
I just had one other mini note, was that the guitar in Verminous reminded me of Mastodon quite a lot. I don't know if you guys noticed that. They had that like airy, what would you call it? Like, I don't know, Mastodon guitar. You know?
Yeah. This could be you guys' chance to get me into Mastodon if you recommend it.
Oh.
I'm sure they come. I'm sure they'll be on the podcast eventually.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Ben, do you have anything else to say? Add?
My favorite songs.
Go on then.
Which favorite songs on the album were definitely Verminous. Sunless Empire was really, really good. There was like a guitar bit, like kind of, or like a riff, like near the sort of like beginning-ish, and it was just so like, it was just so good. It was like really melodic, and I was just like,
That's it, like a guitar solo-y, harmonise-y bit.
I think so. Yeah, it was like
Was
kind
that-
of like near like the 30-40 second mark.
Oh, of the whole album?
No,
Of the song.
Oh, well, I wrote...
Sunless Empire.
I wrote, love the harmonising-y, guitar-y, solo-y bit in Removal of the Oaken Stakes.
Oh yeah,
That was one of my
So
favorites.
that probably might have been it, because I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not
Sunless
always clear on
Empire.
this album, like what's a riff and what's a solo. They're sort of mixed.
Yeah.
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 They make really good use of like when to use vocals and when to leave it to just the instrumentation, but also they really use vocals to sort of drive home a part of a riff. So like the example I've put is you know in the title track Verminous, there's that the main riff there, that riff. And then like
Yeah.
there's just a bit where like towards the end the last bit of vocals are like Verminous lives on, and then it goes straight back into the like just and it just punctuates it so well. I feel like it just adds like
Yeah.
a layer to how good it is.
Oh, we lost
Yeah.
Greg.
Is he gone or is it just his camera?
There, Greg.
It says he's talking.
Greg?
Huh. I think he's dead.
Greg Pie.
No!
We got so close. We were so close to our little break.
Should we just keep going?
Yeah.
Or...
I'll review. See, I said I couldn't floor it. Is it subjectively where you're like, that's sick, but I don't like it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
objectively is, yeah.
Well, you can't say anything bad. Like, yeah. Objectively, it's like
Yeah. So, I thought it was sick. I loved the album, but it all kind of blurred into one for me, and I couldn't name you the song if you played it to me. Mind you, I'm bad at song names as it is. Like I can't remember half the song names in the Royal Republic album that we're about to talk about. So I'm pretty bad at names anyway. And just because like melodic death metal or death metal isn't like necessarily my thing, so jumping into it, like I'm all very new to it. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Like maybe in a couple of years it'd be an 8 or a 9 when I really sink my teeth into the genre, but it made an impression on me, and I need to listen to it more to like differentiate the tracks, because I guess that's the problem of only listening to an album once and then talking
I
about it.
definitely echo the same point. That I don't listen to melodic death metal that much. Obviously, apart from like Tranquility and like In Flames and that. So a lot of the songs did meld in a little bit, so I kind of had to like pause in between some of the songs to kind of like it's like a palate cleanser. Otherwise, if you listen to it in a complete succession, sometimes it can just kind of go into one a little bit. Which is
So
fine
I said the
if you're
acoustic
like
track was a nice change of pace, and I feel like that should have
Mm,
been
exactly.
in the middle of the album. Maybe.
yeah. I think it should have been too. I think the thing about this album as well is like they don't have like it's all very much breakneck relentless, because I mean it's death metal at the end of the day. There are like slow parts, but those are slow parts to songs. There isn't like a slow song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Hi, Greg.
yeah, I can see why you feel that way. I don't think there's a single bad song on this album, to be honest.
No.
I've listened to this album about 5 times all the way through since the first time I listened to it. I fucking love this album too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but this is just the sort of stuff I really enjoy. It's just one of those albums where you listen to it and it makes you feel like a fucking badass, because there's just so many like really cool bass drops, really cool like dueling guitars, harmonization and stuff. And the vocals, I just love his vocals, man. So
Could
for
this
me,
be a 10 out of 10 album for Kyle?
it's 9 out of 10.
Why is it
It's
not
like
10?
it's like 9.5 out of 10.
Why
It's
is it
not a 10,
I don't think a 10 isn't possible.
I have like a handful, like literally like I could count on one hand how many 10 out of 10 albums I have.
Yeah.
And for me, like a 10 out of 10 album is like it's just got that kind of little that little you can't place why. It's just it makes you feel a certain way,
Yeah, I've only
And
got
I
a
really
couple of
like
10 out of
this
10
album.
albums.
Yeah, I really, really, really like this album. And I can't think of anything bad to say about it, but it doesn't quite give me that, the chills of like, holy shit, this is an amazing album.
I feel like a 10 out of 10 album would have a longevity. So, spoilers, one of my 10 out of 10 albums is Black Dog Barking by Airborne. And I've listened to that album hundreds of times, and I still love it. Every song. So, maybe it's like a thing that grows. You can't just give it a 10 out of 10 straight off the bat. You have to
Yeah.
my
let it simmer.
criteria for a 10 out of 10 is Yeah, exactly the same. Like it lasts a long time. You literally love every single song on that album, and like
Yeah.
it's just like a masterpiece.
All
I think
right.
I keep 10 out of 10 reserved in my mind because there might always be a better future album, and there can't be an 11 out of 10. So I would never give
Yeah.
anything more than a 9.5.
Mm. Ben, what did you rate it? You didn't.
This album
Yeah.
rated a 7.5.
Ooh. What about you, Greg?
7.5.
What's
It
your
was
final verdict? Oh, sorry, Ben. Just cut you
no,
off.
please.
Okay.
Oh, also polite.
Ah,
I actually also gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought this album was fucking incredible.
hey.
Even though it's not necessarily like my favorite genre, but I just think it was so technically impressive. Like Carl said, every moment of it, you're just like, this is cool. So, yeah, 9 out of 10 for me.
This is just fucking cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
It made me want
about
to
a guy turning into worms and killing people. Let's go.
He's not killing people, he's just eating dead bodies. It's fine.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Then.
Haven't we all?
Well, every time you have meat on your dinner, you're eating dead things.
That's true.
That's true.
And on
I
that
don't always
note-
turn into worms when I do it, but
One of
The
the
worms.
things I felt like I have to point out because it refers back to a previous episode is so Sunless Empire. There's a line excremental answer to the fecal world you built, and it's talking about fecal demons again, which is what the fucking glory hammer album had. And I
Fecal
remember thinking,
demons.
that a bit
What
like
is it
fucking
about
fecal
shit demons?
Yes. Oh my
This is
god.
a sign, boys.
We should like make a
The
web
theme-
of
the
like
theme of
why
the
are these
podcast.
two albums connected?
by poo demons.
we need a
You
map
secretly
with pins
find
in it,
out.
like on someone's wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pins and like bits of string
Just-
connecting all the shit demon references,
Or like
and
that
we'll like
fucking
discover
Always
the
Sunny
Illuminati.
meme.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah,
Sunny.
Yeah, well, maybe that can be CHUB Cast's calling, where we discover which albums reference poo demons.
Yeah, the
It's all
big conspiracy.
6 degrees of poo demons.
Uh,
If you liked Verminous, it's one of their best albums, but my favourite albums of Black Dahlia Murder are Ritual, which is by far my favourite one. That's the 10 out of 10 album, in my opinion. It's like this album's super dynamic and has like slow parts and fast parts, but that album has like proper, really sludgy, grinding songs like Malenchantments of the Necrosphere and
What a
Stirring
title.
Seeds of Salted Blood and stuff.
Fuck yeah, what a
Yeah.
name. What a name.
Yeah.
sounds like a
and
recipe.
then- Malenchantments
And-
of the Necrosphere.
And now you
No,
have
the other one.
Necrosphere.
And Nocturnal was the album that got me into them, which is a bit more metalcore in a way. But yeah,
Nice.
and then their other album, Miasma, is quite a bit more raw. It's one of the
I can
older
relate to that one.
Miasma, yes, Miasma.
My asthma.
And on that note, I'm asthmatic.
That's
That
it. I'm
took
not
me
doing
way
this
too long
podcast
to
anymore.
get that.
Um,
I'm done.
right, album number 2. This was my choice. In case you didn't notice, the last album was Kyle's. This album, Royal Republic, Club Majesty. Royal Republic, they formed in 2007. They're a hard rock band, and they're kind of like tongue-in-cheek comedy, but they also are just they're just fun. There's no other word to describe them other than just fun. I don't suppose you guys have listened to their actual rock albums. They've got 3, and then a country album.
I didn't know they had a country album.
Yeah,
I've
it's
listened
more.
to
They
some
only
of their other
cover
rock
their own
albums.
tracks. Yeah, their first album is
okay.
amazing. They only cover their own tracks in the country album, but this album, this disco album, Club Majesty, they just released, just released a disco album, and it's fucking sick. I went to see them live, play this album live on Halloween actually last Halloween with Claire at Electric Ballroom, I think it was, in Camden, and they just came out because it was Halloween. They were dressed as Bowie, and they just had like disco lights and everything, and I'd never danced so much in my entire life. Literally, at gigs you're like headbanging and doing the guitar and bouncing around, but in this you're literally just like doing the white boy dance. Ooh, getting it going.
Were you giving it like the Saturday Night Fever one?
Oh yes, but yeah, I love this album.
White dad at the barbecue.
I'm so ready to be a white dad.
It's the best kind of dancing, man.
But yeah, I personally think this album starts with like probably one of the best songs. It's Fireman Dancer, and instantly you're teleported, or I am teleported back to what I think would be the 80s. I wasn't sure because I wasn't around then. I just imagine like it being very, very camp and awesome. Just like I could just imagine people dressed as firemen in cages, like dancing to this song or some shit.
Yeah, I mean the title does make me think it's about male strippers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like it is. Yeah.
It reminds me of Full Monty and stuff, which I don't suppose you guys have seen that film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit like that. What did you guys think?
Firemen are kind of one of those every middle-aged ladies.
Yeah, you get a hot fireman working that hose.
Yeah. set your own house on fire so they'll come around.
Yeah.
Every time they watch a Gaviscon advert, they're like, "Oh, that cream in my neck, it's fireman."
No, I'll never be able to watch that again. Really important.
We're all thinking it.
Spraying cream directly down their throat from a hose.
Ben saying the things we're all too afraid to say. Oh dear. But yeah, this album,
God.
it's perfect to work out to. I stick this album on when I'm on the cross trainer, and it's just the perfect rhythm, and you get like head bob, like doom, dun, dun, dun. It's awesome. It's just awesome. What do you guys think of it?
To me, this is a drinking album.
This is a prink album, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, there was one specific song I singled out as a sex making album. Sex making song. There's definitely a fucking song on there. But I was an idiot and I forgot to label the songs I was listening.
The Undercover?
I think it was, yeah.
Going undercover with you.
Yeah. Greg was trying to compare his voice to like other rock singers, and I think if I had to compare it to anyone, I would say the singer from Clutch.
Yeah.
He's got kind of that same kind of rich baritone voice.
Southern
Yeah, I see that.
Even though these guys are from Sweden.
Yeah.
He sings with a southern drawl.
Yeah, these guys are amazing. He is actually as charismatic on stage as well. He just I remember one line he said was, "Ever since I could talk, I love the sound of my own voice." And shit like that.
Quinty charisma.
Yeah, it wouldn't work as well if in real life he was like a really dweeby little kid with like glasses and like my asthma. But then when he starts singing, my asthma.
Yeah, he's got a very unique voice, and that's probably what drew me towards them in the first place, because I love bands with unique vocalists, because you're just like, oh, this is so different. This doesn't sound like everything else. I actually found these guys from Spotify when I'd, the bit where they're just like recommending albums to you.
Discover Weekly and stuff.
Yeah. Usually they just they recommend you just like what's already popular. But they recommended these guys in like 2011. Their first album came out, and I was like, ooh, hello.
Ooh. So you've kind of been a day one fan then, really?
I have, yeah, pretty much. Um,
Do you know why they decided to do a disco album and a country album? Do you think they're bored of doing just rock albums, or do
Well,
you...
they did the country album a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
so I think they just do what they want, really, because
Yeah, fair enough.
they obviously love doing rock. Because if they didn't love doing rock, there's no money in rock, so you can't. They're not really doing it for that. So
No.
I guess they just really
Disco
wanted to
is
do a
pretty
disco
popular
album.
Yeah. I feel like
Uh,
this album was still very rocky. I was expecting it when you said disco. I was expecting more like synths and
yeah.
yeah, but this was still very much a rock album, but with
Well,
like
if you
disco
go back,
vibe.
if you go back and listen to a lot of old disco, not much of it really has synths and stuff.
Thinking
It's-
more like as you get on further into the 80s, there was a lot more synth and a lot more like electronic for the electronica kind of period. Before that, in the 70s, where it was like proper disco, it was just kind of guitar and then dunk, 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 and then just
Yeah.
like some guy singing over it.
Hmm.
Simple.
Yeah, it kind of emerged alongside or like related to funk and stuff like that, didn't it? Whereas like very bass heavy, very like you say,
Yeah.
donk donk.
Yeah.
Very donk donk.
Donk, donk.
Yeah.
Donk, donk.
Greg, did you have anything to say? Well,
Yeah, I thought it was real good. What do I think exactly? I agree with everything that's been said so far. I'd say pretty much every song is an absolute banger. There were one or two that I didn't enjoy quite as much. I'd say I find them slightly repetitive, which would probably be Bulldog and maybe Fortune Favors.
yeah.
They were a similar quality, but I didn't enjoy them quite as much.
Really? Those were my
but-
two favorite songs on the album.
Fortune
Really?
Favors.
I don't know why.
Is Fortune Favors the like quite electronic-y one?
It's the one where he pitches
Oh no,
his
I'm thinking
voice
of Don't
right
Stop
down.
Moving or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of Stop Moving.
Yeah, that one.
That's the
is-
electronic-y one.
Yeah, that's like a nod to like more 80s disco, I believe. But yeah,
Yeah, I
know what
didn't
you
mean
mean
to single
about
them out as like bad songs though. They're
No.
definitely not bad songs. I just
yeah.
trying to think
Well,
of things to say about the album, I guess.
Bulldog was, I think, more of a rocky album. Bulldog's more like their other songs, their other first few albums. It's that kind of silly vibe.
Yeah, I really like that song. I thought he kind of had. Have you guys ever listened to any psychobilly music?
No.
Like
Psychobilly.
Primus.
Yeah, kind of. I was thinking more.
Oh, okay.
There's that one song on Guitar Hero 2 called Psychobilly Freak Out by the Reverend Horton Heat, and he's got a very psychobilly voice sort of thing going on. Like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice. It's fucking great. I want there to be more disco albums. Or disco in general. I want disco to come back.
It's
have I
making
ever-
a revival.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Have I ever
it is.
told you about Cola Boy?
No.
Polar Boy.
Cola Boy is fantastic. I saw him live. He was supporting MGMT, and yeah, he's like not disco rock like this. He's just disco, but he's also a really just funny looking kind of weird dude who looks like he was plucked straight from the 80s. Yeah, it's Cola Boyy, and he's got a song
okay.
called Penny Girl, which you should listen to. It's like just pure disco.
All right, you're gonna link that when this podcast's done. Ben,
Yeah.
did you ever? I haven't asked you yet.
Yes, to be honest, with this album, fucking loved it. It was literally like the whole fucking thing was just so good, so
Aw.
ridiculously. Because the thing is, like, it's interesting, like you said, like whilst you're listening to it, what you're doing. Because you said it's really good for like exercise and getting you like active and stuff, and I'd agree. Also say it's really good when you're sitting down being lazy shit like I was playing video games, because I was literally playing it yesterday when I was playing some Outer Worlds, and it was just like there was this bit where I was walking through, like, sorry, one sec, he's walked in and distracting me. um, I was walking through like a spaceship. There was like these robots just kind of shooting at us, and then
Yeah.
like in the background it's just like, you can't stop the disco, and stop the disco, and I was just like, this is so almost like Guardians of the Galaxy esque kind of
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah.
So that's what I was really getting
To
from
be
it. And,
fair,
and obviously it's
yeah. Nope.
like, I don't know why that mixture of like old timey music, or not old timey, but like discos and like cheesy music goes so well with like the sci-fi genre. I think because they're both kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
Like when I was listening to the album, it just made the whole experience so much better.
Yeah. If you're taking sci-fi seriously, you're doing it wrong.
Doing
Like,
it exactly.
There's nothing serious
Exactly.
about sci-fi. Even like Alien has its cheese and stuff.
Yeah,
Like the
but we're not.
coming out of its chest
Anyway, we're not talking.
and stuff.
That made like my gaming experience so much better. But like as far as like just the album's concerned, um, like I'd say technically, like obviously the musicianship was solid. It was good. Like it nothing really like came up that was amazing. But the one thing that got me, that made me think like every song was like super catchy and everything, was the vocalist. Like his voice is just utter.
Yeah.
Like you could listen to him
Butter.
for
I love
ages
that.
and ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my favorite song, which when Greg said it, I was like, what was probably Fortune Favors.
Yeah.
Is like apart from all the other songs, he like tones it down, like so he's like really going into his baritone for that song. Like it's just so catchy, and I could listen to that guy for like days.
Oh well.
Yeah. He goes from like syrup to treacle in that song.
It was. I like, I don't know, like every single song making my head go like this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was
That's
just
what
really really good.
I think that's what I said at the end of the last podcast. Where this album has just got that thing.
Yeah,
It's just that
Yeah,
head bob.
definitely.
tempo.
Got the pigeon head.
Yeah.
Mm.
I got a few notes about the vocalist though. It's weird hearing a Swedish person say twat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he says it the American way, doesn't he? He says twat.
It's a
Twat.
yeah.
But either way,
Yeah.
it's just not, unless it's British. Twat! Or
Yeah.
maybe even Australian.
Yeah. No, that's our word. He shouldn't have stolen it.
Yeah, give it back.
Cultural
Fucking
appropriation.
appreciation, mate. Come on.
It's not a twat. It's a twat.
And the other, I love the line. Every time I hear the line, someone call a doctor, this beat is fucking sick. I'm just like,
That was really good as well.
That was like the peak
What song was that on?
cheese
Was
of
that
the album was right
Flower
there.
Power Madness?
Flower Power Madness, I believe so. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
That was one of
other
my favourite songs.
song.
God, yeah.
I think with the guitar as well on the album, like Ben, you said none of the riffs were like that amazing, but what I found really impressive was they were really kind of minimalist, like, and they were able to be so catchy with basically just single
Yeah.
note kind of fairly simple riffs, but they were so precise in what they were going for, and they really achieved it. That I was really impressed by the guitar.
Yeah, this is a prime example of simple is best. Sometimes you just need to find its core and find out why it's good and just do it. Don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah, like if
think-
they'd had
I
a bunch of
think
wanky
this-
solos, it would have kind of got in the way, I think.
Yeah.
I think this podcast has definitely cemented the fact that like ever we kind of specialize in is the thing that we kind of drawn to the most. Like obviously Zach was saying that his head was really bouncing to the bass of this album and like really like yeah, and I would say
Yeah.
like the vocals were the thing that drew me the most, and then Greg just mentioned the guitar, and then the last album Black Dahlia, obviously Carl was saying it was like some of the best metal drumming ever. So we kind of all
We're
we're all
all
showing our
We're showing what we do.
appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, you gotta do really.
But at the same time, it's given us all a better appreciation for the other aspects of music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's it.
I feel like
That's it.
that's what I thought you were going to go for, was basically like going through and dissecting these albums and feeling like really thinking of what makes them good and stuff. It's such a good learning experience for when we're writing our own music and stuff.
Yeah.
for sure.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you don't need to think about it too much. Like, we've had it in the past where we've been like, is this song too simple? And it doesn't really fucking matter. Like, we go to write a new song and we're like, oh, we can't do verse, chorus, it's too simple. But then it's
Yeah.
like, the person who's listening to it isn't going to be like, this fucking song is standard
Yeah.
structure.
First chorus. Fuck this band. I'm gonna listen
I
to
did like it,
nothing
but now I
else
don't.
because everything is that.
yeah, every song's going to be too simple for one person and too complicated for another person. And
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go back to my prog classical.
yeah, the only 10 out of 10 album was Beethoven's first album.
Beethoven's Dream Theater.
Avant-garde album where all the vocals are chicken sounds.
Actually,
Yeah, re-synthed and modulated into human voices.
There's a death metal album that does exactly that.
Oh, really?
A death what? Did you say
Oh,
death
yeah.
metal?
Death metal album which is chicken sounds, like complete, like edited to sound like death metal black metal vocal.
I don't think I want to listen to that.
I didn't like
Yeah,
it.
that's my recommendation. So, I was trying to find some
Next
cons
week
in
on
this
Podcast.
album. The only cons I could think of really was Boomerang and Undercover's riffs sound so similar. I feel like they shouldn't be next to each other in the album. The other one is because I put this album on when I work out usually. This is probably why I think this, but I think Like a Lover was kind of boring for me. But it might just be because of how I always listen to the album. I always just skip it because
Yeah.
you can't go on a cross trainer like like that.
Yeah.
But I liked Stop Moving was like a nod to like more electronic stuff. I feel like this album is just also a celebration of disco. It's just like, look, yeah, this genre was sick. It shouldn't have died, but I get why it died. Let's just revive it for one last final breath, and who knows, it might come back.
Last hurrah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to go. To
I bet there is
some
an actual live disco scene that did survive, and we're just like shitting on it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. I want to go to like some underground disco scene, like my glam metal stuff. There's like this really small community of people who love glam metal, and you see them all at the same gigs and everything, and everyone just gets along really well. I wonder if there's a disco community that like meets that like goes to all these old disco artists and new ones.
Must
It
be.
must be,
Like,
right?
Yeah,
must be, because there's people that like still go to like acid house things like from the 90s to relive their like teenagehood. So I
yeah,
expect like if you go somewhere in London, there must be like an underground place that like just plays like just like a punk and disco like community or something like that. So
yeah,
to find it, it's our
Yeah.
quest to find the holy grail.
yeah. Does anyone else have any
Yeah.
notes? Any more notes? Throw them in. Throw them in the ring.
I put to me it's like very classic rock vibes at times. Like parts of it kind of reminded me of like Van Halen without the solos. Like
Mm.
it's
Yeah,
basically
80s
touching
Van
on what
Halen.
Greg said. Yeah, it's touching on what Greg said basically, which was just the riffs can be quite simple and some of them are quite similar to one another, but they really are catchy and have a nice like hook and you can bob to them. And it's like I think the emphasis is a lot more on if it's fun to dance to. Like I
Yeah.
think this is like a album that's meant to be played live.
I wonder, because my dad, whenever he has a new album out, he always brings over all his pagany friends and has like a night of just listening to the album, and they give him like constructive criticism and stuff. I wonder if they invited all their mates over and did a disco, and if no one felt like dancing and they needed to take the song back to the drawing board. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
That's the criteria.
yeah, the criteria is if you keep dancing, then it's a good song.
would be our criteria if we were bringing friends to listen to ours. Does it make you angry?
Oh dear.
Does it make you hate the establishment?
If you don't already, what are you doing?
Well, I just thought
Yeah.
there's a few things that we need to nick from Royal Republic, by the way, for our own gigs. At download, the year download, so not last year, which was also download. You know what I mean? At 1 year at download when it was raining.
Which one?
Yeah, they played. And they went for the record of amount of mosh pits. Not biggest mosh pits, but amount.
How
and they
many?
said one mosh pit counted as 4 people. So they got everyone to link arms in a 4 and spin. And on the camera, you just saw loads of little spinning people just in the crowd. And it looked awesome. And we need to nick that.
That's amazing.
Okay, man. Next
Well,
time we play
everyone must have
download.
looked like a machine with just cogs
Yeah.
everywhere.
It looked like a fucking Magnemite. Anyway. So it's put into 3D games, he's like spinny. And anyway.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a cog Pokemon anyway?
I was going to say that, but
Nobody gets
clang,
the meme.
cling clang. Too many Pokemon.
Only get Gen 1 references.
Exactly. There you are.
Yeah,
There you are,
only
you
Gen
see.
1, please.
Yeah.
Damn Gen 1er.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any final points to throw in the mix?
I had a note. I wrote down that if I met somebody and I showed them this album and they didn't like it, I wouldn't quite trust them because it's.
I know what you
I just feel like it's such. Yeah, it's such a happy, fun album that's just there to entertain and like make you dance and like everything we've been saying. If somebody was like picking it apart, finding faults with it rather than just enjoying the kind of exuberance of it, I'd be like, "What's your problem, man? Why are you
Yeah.
such a dick?"
Yeah.
I feel like
This-
you've got to be like, this isn't the sort of album where you're like overly critical, like, oh, but is it really art though? This is just a
Yeah,
this is just a have fun album, and if you don't have fun with it, then you're just kind of probably a bit high strung, really, aren't you? Like,
yeah, it's your fault. It's not the album's fault.
This is
yeah.
one to enjoy. This isn't a fine wine where you have to like point at every flavor and everything like that. This is a nice ice cold beer slammed on the table.
Yeah.
Quench
This is like
your
a fucking.
thirst.
It's like a keg stand at a frat house
Yeah.
or some shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree to everything that's being said. God damn.
Mm.
It's just fun. Like I said at the
Yeah,
beginning,
exactly.
you just can't.
Mm.
It's just fun. Are we ready to do a rating? Final
Yeah.
verdicts? Well, I listened to this album when it first came out and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing, because as you all know that I love hooks and I love riffs, and if a song has a good hook and riff, then I'm in. And like most songs on this album have a good chorus and riff, so, and it's good to work out to, it's good to walk to, it's good to bang to, I think. And that's and it's just a great album overall. I personally would give it a 9 out of 10 because it's just one of those albums that I'm just going to be listening to for maybe the rest of my life. Who knows? That's a pretty big statement, but it's. I haven't got bored of it yet.
If you ever stop enjoying it, you know that you've changed.
Yeah. If and I don't think it'd ever be a 10 out of 10 just because of Like a Lover. It's not really my thing. I might have ADHD or something, but it's too slow for me. But other than that, they're all bangers. What about Kyle? What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun album. It's pretty much what else is there to say. Like, you don't go into this sort of album looking at it as like a piece of sophisticated art. It's just, okay, I can have a great time to this, you know? I think, I mean, for me, it's like a 7.5. It's like, yeah, it's a really good album. I I wouldn't put on more than one song off of it at a time, probably. At least in my if I was just sitting chilling. But I think it would be a really good one to smack on like at a party or something, because it's just consistent. Like you don't need to listen to it seriously, gets you moving and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it would be really really fun to see live as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Awesome. What about you, Greg?
I'll go. So favorite songs for me: Boomerang, Anna Lee, and probably Flower Power Madness. And I was this close to giving it a 9 as well, but just because we're doing these two albums this week, and I gave Black Dahlia Murder a 9, I felt like it wouldn't quite be fair since that album is clearly so much more technical and like probably took a lot more work to be fair, and is a lot like more impressive. So I gave this one an 8.5.
Yeah, if you put them both side by side, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't say.
Yeah,
my
I'm trying to have
favourite
some
songs.
sort of like scale for my ratings.
Yeah, yeah. My favourite songs: Anna Lee, Boomerang, and Fireman Dancer. Brilliant.
Yeah, my favorites were Bulldog, Boomerang, and Fortune Favors.
Nice. Ben, you're up.
So, I mean, I was there to say that hasn't already been said. I think Kyle touched on it really nicely where he said I feel like this album is like a perfect shuffle album where if I'm listening to my entire discography on shuffle through Spotify when I'm at work, if even one of these songs comes on in between anything else, like it's staying on because, like they each and every one just fits in that kind of what they were trying to do. I get that if you're listening to it all at once, it can be a little bit samey. Like you were saying with Fight the Disco and Boomerang, like in the first 5 seconds, they genuinely have a very very similar like ding 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 like kind of guitar.
Yeah.
So I can kind of get that, but apart from that, it's all really really good, really good fun. Favorite songs were definitely Fireman and Dancer, Unforced Trauma, Tune Favors, and Flower Power Madness. I think I loved that just because when he was singing it and I was just playing, I was just like, is he actually saying Flower Power Madness? And I looked at the song and I was just like, like it was just ultimate mozzarella, but I loved it so much. So I'd give this a solid 8 out of 10 for sure.
Nice.
Definitely going on one of my favorite albums, and I've already saved it on my likes.
Hey, well, that's awesome. Looks like it was a successful CHUB Cast. We all liked everything. Hooray!
Yeah, I think that's the most agreement that we've had.
Yeah.
The most agreement we've had on 2 albums that couldn't be any more fucking different if they tried.
True. What does that say about us? Who knows?
Yeah.
We all
Just
have
a
a complex
weirdos.
palette of musical taste.
Shall we?
Quite.
Oh no. Ben and Greg. Wait. No, roll the
No,
dice.
we should be rolling a dice
Roll
this
the
week.
dice this time.
Roll the dice. I'm going to roll D4 this time. Because there's 4 of us.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Roll last time. Oh yeah, it was a D6 or something.
D6.
Roll a D100 and just keep rolling.
Yeah. Okay. Ben 1, me 2, Kyle 3, Greg 4. Here we go.
Let's go.
Here we go on the Pokemon mouse mat.
It's going to land perfectly
2.
on the point so that it's not any of them.
And 4. 2 and 4. So it's me and Greg.
Well, hey.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Thank God I didn't have any idea what I was going to pick, so that works.
Very
I'm
good
just
idea.
frantically
You would have been like
scrolling through
Black
my Spotify.
Dahlia Murder's other album.
Yeah.
Greg, do you want to go?
Alright, I've been like umming and ahhing over what to choose because mine have been the least popular so far, and I don't know whether to push that even further or go for something that I actually think we'll all really enjoy.
Mate, go for
Okay,
what you
I'm
want
gonna give you-
because there's some tracks from both Molito and Dirty Diet that are in my favourites. So even though I didn't necessarily like them that much, it was, you know what I mean.
Okay, All right, I'm gonna go for the out there weird choice again, and we'll see how it goes. So this is a synthwave album, by by the guys who used to be Fight Star. I don't know if you remember that band.
Oh, yeah.
it is
God,
called-
that rings a
yeah.
bell.
So
It's the
Yeah,
guy
so they're
Charlie
not-
Simpson from Busted, right?
Oh,
maybe
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
Fight
think this
Star.
music is anything like that music, but yeah,
can
this
we
is
recommend a
called
Busted
Dark. I've never listened to Busted. Are they good?
I mean,
Danny
I
from
don't
work
think-
listens to them.
they're probably a guilty pleasure of mine. Whenever Claire puts them on, I'm like, "Who's this? It's quite sick." She's like, "It's Busted." I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess I like
Oh,
Busted."
Did they do that song the year 3000? That was quite
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
yeah. That was them.
Anyway,
But yeah, no, this album is called Dark All Day by Gunship.
okay, nice
Sounds
Yeah,
pretty gunship.
Shit.
Gunship,
Yeah.
nice.
Okay.
All right,
Pretty mad.
my album. I have liked this band since I broke my leg. They one of my mum's mates gave me a hard drive full of music that he acquired, and this band was on that album hard drive. It's Kissin' Dynamite. You've probably maybe heard me play them a few times. They're like a cross
Maybe.
between, I don't know, they're like new wave of British heavy metal cross glam. It's weird, but they're awesome. And it took me a while to choose which album, because eventually I'm going to do both of these albums on CHUB Cast, because I love both of them. But I went for Megalomania by Kissin' Dynamite. I think it's God damn it. I
Yeah,
think it's
Megalomania.
Yeah, it's not Megalovania. Megalomania.
No, that's Undertale.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, and yeah, they're just metal.
It's
Metal.
Kissin' Dynamite
Kissin'
with
Dynamite.
with an apostrophe.
Yeah, German metal. It's awesome. And
Sick.
they Kissin' Dynamite, named after the AC/DC song Kissin' Dynamite. But I'll get into trivia next time on CHUBcast. You guys. So yeah, everyone at home, listen to Megalomania by Kissin' Dynamite and
Dark All Day by Gunship.
you don't have to listen to both. You can listen to one or the other or both. But if you do listen to one, you've got to write it in what you thought in the comment section below. You, lucky listener at home, maybe it's you, Tim Briffett, could be our first comment that's legitimate, actually, about the music and not asking to be our
Did
Did
friend.
we get any this week?
I can't remember, actually. It's been so long.
I don't think we did.
Oh, we got one, and it's from Kyle
Oh,
telling us what we're listening to. So,
No, you're this week's winner.
Kyle, you win. Well, I have been
win.
Zach.
Nothing.
I've been Zach.
Who are you
Fight to the
pointing
No one
at?
death.
knows where you're
Who are
pointing.
you pointing at?
I've been
I've
great.
Kyle! It's me, Kyle! I hit this little stick.
We were just screaming like mummies. Bomb!
Growing pains.
and together we've been
Chub Cast. Oh,
In pain.
in pain. If this
this-
podcast gave you a
podcast-
chub, do you want to finish it, Ben?
like and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Greg, I said Ben.
I started before you said Ben.